Welcome back to Access Anime. My name is Henshin Ikeda, and today I'll be doing a walkthrough and review of One Piece episode 576. Now, if you remember from last episode, we see the Straw Hat crew finally in the new world, so all I can say is it's about time. Now, sadly, that was short-lived because we find out they're in the Muagamar Sea. Now, Nami does point out the Muagamar Sea is horrible, very random, and by random, it's been raining, hailstorms, the water parts ways, really? And then all of a sudden it's really nice out. Now we are taken to a different scene where we see Sanji, he starts cooking all this food and it vanishes. Now we find out it's because of this character by the name of Lily Eenstomach. Now she was mistaken as a ant slash ghost, but that was clarified later on. And Lily, by the way, she has a devil fruit. Well, she's eaten a devil fruit called the Mini Mini, which allows her to grow and shrink any way she wants, maintaining her giant-like strength. That's right, she's a giant originally. So even if she's 5 millimeters, she still has the same power as if she was a giant. So that's definitely worth mentioning. Now we do find out she's looking for her father by the name of Panzerfry. He didn't really go missing. Actually, he was captured by the Navy in general, and they were taking him to Impel Down. He was stealing from the Navy and other pirates to feed people that were starving, and he was caught in the act. And we also find out he's worth a lot of berries, just putting that out there. But again, we do find out Panzerfry is her father. He's also a giant, and he's also the best chef in the new world. And that definitely strikes a chord with Luffy. And by the way, Sanji knows who he is. So he's definitely a chef in general. Whether he's the best chef in the new world, I guess we'll find out. But moving on, we do find out that the Navy in general that caught Panzerfry, they'll be traveling in the Muagamar Sea. So they're going to have a run-in with him. And we see Lily plans on getting her father back, and Luffy jumps right on board, and he can't wait to taste all this food, so he's all for it. Now we also find out the rest of the crew, they're all for it too, so now they're going to get Lily's dad back. So that's kind of amazing in my opinion. I loved how all this came together. But moving on past that, we are introduced to kind of a new villain in this episode, or in this new arc. Now they're called the Neo Navy. Now we don't know a lot about them, whether they're actually with the Navy or a faction within the Navy, or just pirates that used to be part of the Navy, you know, something like that. But they are introduced. Now I'm not going to go over all their characters, but one of my favorite characters we see in the submarine, his name is Shizu, and apparently he's going to be running into, get this, he'll be running into the ships that are taking Panzerfry to Impel Down, and he's going to kill Panzerfry, or at least that's the plan. So this story just got more interesting. And again, that was last episode, and this is a new episode, so let's dive right in. And again, I'll hold my final thoughts and my ratings at the end of the clip, so stay tuned. But let's dive right in. Now, we open up this scene with Panzerfry, and he's actually with the Navy on a cross. I was like, wow. I kind of felt a little religious seeing him on a cross. This is like a giant. Took four different ships to be deployed for him to be taken to Impel Down. I'm like, wow, this guy must be important, even though all he did was a small little crime by stealing food. But sorry, I digress. Again, he's on a cross, on a raft, and it just, wow, it's amazing in my opinion. Now moving on past that, we do find out Robin, when she sees this, she doesn't really feel comfortable with the situation because of all the security she sees. She feels like something is up, something is a mess. But it gets better. Now we see Nami taking charge of the rescue mission. I'm like, really? Nami? I didn't see this coming. I know she's one of the most level-headed because she's the navigator, but really? Nami? Okay, so she's going to take charge. Now, her plan in general is kind of unique. She's going to split everyone up in two different groups. The first group is going to be the diversion group, while the second group is going to be the infiltration group. Now, the first group, which again is the diversion group, is going to be made up of Robin, Brook, Luffy, and Chopper, of course. Now, Chopper, he's just going to operate the boat, so he's not really going to do anything, while Luffy just sits back in reserve in case anything happens, because he doesn't want to draw attention away from anyone. Now, we are taken to, obviously, Brook and Robin, a good pair, by the way. And they're going to be the ones doing the diversions. And if you notice, they're all devil fruit users. Ironically, they'll be fighting from a distance. That kind of makes sense in my opinion, but it's been a while since we've seen that kind of pair off. Sorry, I digress. Moving on. Now the infiltration team is obvious. We've got Zoro, Sanji, Usopp, and Lily. Now they're actually going to be using the shark submerged to infiltrate the raft. Now the original diversion group, they're going to be using the Mini Mary, so that kind of actually makes sense. Now moving on past that, what is the real plan and how is this going to work out? I'm curious, Nami, how the hell is this plan going to work? I mean, is Luffy really going to go with this plan? We don't know yet. That's all I can say. Now, apparently, their main objective is to detach the raft that Panzerfry is on, and they're going to use the Coupe de Burst thanks to Frankie. As long as Frankie stays on the Thousand Sunny, he'll be able to operate the Coupe de Burst. So they're just going to whisk away. So that definitely makes sense. So you have everyone making a diversion from a distance while Zoro and everyone else sneaks in, and when they have everything, tied up and ready, they give the go-ahead to Frankie, and they're gone. So that is definitely a plan I want to see, work. But we don't know if it's going to work or not. Now, while all this is going on, we see Nami, and she's just going to be spying on everyone. She's going to take control of the mission, but she's going to be on the white hobby horse. And okay, so she's really not going to be doing anything in this episode, to be honest, just to bitch at people. That's her job. To bitch at people and make sure everyone's on task. Now, she does give out a really interesting warning. She's like, watch out for the weather. We don't want to see stuff that's not there. Just keep an eye out, because remember, you're in the Muagamar Sea. Just keep an eye out. So she does make that apparent. Now we are taken to a different scene, kind of a funny scene in general. We see Luffy, and he actually sneaks onto the shark submerged with Zoro and everyone else because he wants to be in the front lines. So I thought that was worth mentioning. So he's not following Nami's plan. But then again, he's the captain, so he doesn't have to. I'm just pointing that out. Now we also are taken to a different scene where we actually see Brook, and he's with Robin and Chopper, and I thought this was also worth mentioning. I don't want to digress anymore, but I want to point this out. He starts playing, he has his guitar out, and he starts playing Let's Go to the Rescue, and it was hilarious until, he was silenced. But hey, I was just saying, I like seeing him, a little humor here and there, but that was enough. Okay, I don't want to hear him sing. But moving on to the next scene, now we get a little more information about Lily's dad. Now apparently her father, this is definitely interesting because this loops with Usopp and his past, kind of, and who he knows. Do you remember Dory and Brogy, who are the legendary bosses, these giant bosses? Yeah, apparently Panzerfry was friends with them. Now Lily's never met them, but she was very stunned to know that the Straw Hat crew had friends among those giants. Like, really? The legendary bosses? She was like very stunned. It's like, I was just amazed how they looped all this into this one episode, or at least this arc, this little filler arc. So definitely very interesting in my opinion. But sorry, moving on. Now we are taken to a different scene. Now we see Vice Admiral Momoji. He's on the Navy vessel, obviously, and he's right in front of Panzerfry. Now sadly, Panzerfry has a mask on, or like a little bag over his head, so that's kind of sad. And we do find out that Vice Admiral Momoji is kind of reminiscing on how they caught Panzerfry, and it was kind of sad because Panzerfry was just caught in the act while he was robbing one of the Navy vessels that had food, and the only reason why he robbed the food from the Navy vessel to begin with was just to feed starving people, and he makes that point to, the Vice Admiral, but, he didn't really care. And again, that was just a little information we got mixed with a little light flashback, nothing too major there. And I thought this was interesting. The Vice Admiral actually tells all of his, all the Navy members, all the Marines in general, to watch out for pirate raiders. Pirate raiders are, I guess, crews that go after pirates in general, or something along those lines. So he gives all of his crew members a heads up. I'm like, really? I didn't expect him to give him a heads up just when, Luffy's group was about to attack. So I was like, okay, what's going on? But that was really never self-explained. He was just trying to keep it cool and, prepare himself for the worst, that kind of thing. Now we are taken to a different scene, and the plan is started. That's it. It's gone. We're going. So we see Nami's plan in action, and it's started. It's been initiated. So I was like, okay, sweet. Everything goes planned in order perfectly. Everything goes perfectly. I was like, wow. But at the same time, I was like, okay, something's gonna happen. There's no such thing as a foolproof plan, and well, I'll get to that later on. But we see Zoro, he jumps on the raft, obviously, takes out the chains that were holding Panzerfry, so he's free. We see the diversion team in the background. We see Brook with his soul coming out, scaring people. We see Robin with her hands everywhere. It was perfectly planned out. That's all I can really say. But, it did get a lot better because we do see Nami and Frankie kind of change up the plan just at the last moment because of Luffy. So it's like, really? Guess what? Their plan changed. So you do see Nami talking to Frankie saying that the plan has changed. It's like, yeah, of course, right? And now everyone knows it's the Straw Hat crew, so that's why she wanted the plan to be changed. So it kind of makes sense. Now that they know it's Luffy, the Straw Hat crew, and Sanji, it kind of makes sense. But moving on past that, we are taken to a WTF moment, a major one, because we see Lily and Panzerfry. They finally get to meet, daughter and father, Perfect little moment. And we see Luffy. He's now on board. Now, he hasn't laid a finger on anyone, technically. He takes the little mask, or not mask, but the bag that was on Panzer Fry's head, takes it off, and there's like kind of a little emotional scene between father and, you know, daughter, and they were about to hug or something because it was just emotional. And out of nowhere, again, this is a WTF moment, we see torpedoes hit all the Navy vessels, and it was crazy. I was like, wow, really? Really? They were just about to reunite. So we do see the Neo Navy attack. They submerge, one of these submarines emerges up and attacks, and it's just crazy. Again, I did not expect this to happen just like that. I thought maybe we'd get another episode to 2 episodes worth. No, it just happens all at once. So that was definitely crazy. Now we see Shizu, I hope I pronounced his name right. Again, we see Shizu pop out of his submarine after the attack's done with, and he attacks straight out of nowhere Luffy, because Luffy is like in his balloon form, sucking in all this air, and he's ready to blow everyone away. And Shizu just attacks him dead on. He doesn't even know who this guy is, and knocks him in the water. And you're like, oh crap, he can't swim. Because remember, Luffy is a devil fruit user, so he's sinking. And without even thinking, Zoro goes straight after him. I was like, wow, that is, all I can say is wow. I love seeing this side of Zoro. He is definitely someone you can rely on. But then again, if you remember from the in one of the prior arcs, he actually did save Luffy's life, if I'm correct. So, of course, he is going to be the best guy to rely on in this kind of situation. But sorry, I digress. But again, we did see Shizuru versus Luffy, and now Luffy's out of the picture. And it got a little interesting because we do see Zoro go after Luffy. Moving on past that, we do see Lily versus Shizu. It's like a one-on-one confrontation, almost. Because what we do find out is Shizu knows the Vice Admiral, because apparently he used to be part of the Navy. He was also a well-respected guy before he dropped out. He has a different idea of how to treat pirates. Instead of bringing them to impel down, just kill them, because it's not worth keeping them alive. And again, the Vice Admiral does not agree, and he's willing to protect the pirates only to bring them to impel down. So it's kind of interesting to see who's on whose side. Now, moving on past that, again, we do see Lily versus Shizu, because we do see her father being attacked by Shizu, and she doesn't like that, so she attacks Shizu. She goes full size and attacks. It's a no-go, but Sanji jumps right in just when he was about to attack, and he makes a good block. So that was kind of interesting. Now, again, we see Shizu and I guess the Vice Admiral, they're talking, and eventually Luffy is back on the boat. He's back. That's right, he's back. And he's about to attack, or not really attack so much, because he's getting ready to. But now we see the square off. You've got the Neo Navy, the Navy, and the Straw Hat crew. 3 of them all lined up, and Luffy is pissed. That's all I can say. He is pissed, and he's ready to go. And again, that's where the episode ends. Final thoughts? Who's going to win? Neo Navy, Navy, Straw Hat crew? We don't know. Can't wait to find out, though. Now, as per Panzer Fry, we don't know if he's a devil fruit user or not, so I'm interested to see how he's going to enter this fight, if he's going to be part of it. Like, what's he going to do, or is he just going to escape? Again, we don't know. Now, it's kind of interesting, I should point out, Nami told Frankie to go to plan B, per se, like, move on to the next plan, because, you know, this first plan is no longer doable, so they were gonna put a rope around Panzer Fry and just do a coup de burst, but that's not gonna happen now, sadly. So I can't wait to see what's gonna happen now. But again, that is it for my final thoughts. As per my rating, I'm gonna give this a solid 3.5 out of 5 because the battle scenes really weren't drawn out that much. They were just getting started, and we really didn't hit an emotional arc, so I can't really give any points there. But again, that ends it for my rating, so 3.5 out of 5. And again, that ends it for my walkthrough review of One Piece episode 576. Definitely comment down below, let me know, thumbs up, thumbs down, and definitely subscribe. Check me out on Twitter and follow me if you like. And again, let me know what you thought of this episode, and let me know what you think is going to happen in the next episode that's coming out. And again, that ends it for now. I still have one more walkthrough and review to do today, so definitely stay tuned for that. But guys, I gotta hit the bricks, I gotta go, so I will see you guys later, and before I go, I gotta say it. You can't stop the access, but you can watch the feed. I'll see you later, guys.